Okay, first thing is I use an Evo, and as you guys can see, I fly mode 1. The flap stick is on the right, aileron. My flying modes are all right here on this 3-position switch, except for my launch mode, which is on this 3-position switch. And what's really nice about this radio is right here is a push button, and that's my preset for the spin for launch to get the plane nose up into the air. So when I plug my radio in, I always have the launch mode switch up, which is pretty cool. Watch this. I have my flaps all the way down, and it'll override that. So let's get it plugged in here. Alright. Now this particular setup in here, on this fuselage, Roland sent me this prefab ready to fly. And so that's it with the new MKS servos. And I've been flying this for quite some time now. And this wing is, of course, quite a bit older. But anyway, again, so now when I take the preset switch off at the top of my throw, there comes all this flap on the flap stick. What's nice is you come into land, you got full flap, you catch your wingtip, all you do is that, and you're up. And this is the launch preset, you let it go, and when you get to the top of the launch and you go to push over, boom. But of course, while you're on your way up, you can be pushing your flaps up. So right now, thermal mode. That is with the flaps. Kind of hard to see that. About 3 millimeters positive, but I keep mine at a minimum because I like to fly my flaps. I don't have any type of snap flap mix. So what I do is on my sticks here, I have it so the flaps they come down immediate on the flap stick. And when I get into a thermal, if it's a good thermal and flat, I might stay there or go somewhere around here. If I get into a thermal that's really tight cord, I get the flaps clear down in this area. But of course, the circle size is very small. And there are some that are powerful enough you can pull your flaps way down in here. But I don't recommend most people going it more than about here until you learn how to fly them. And you can see that does not affect my tail. Doesn't do anything. So I fly my own elevator to flap, which is still snap flap, but I just do it on my own. So we're in thermal now. Now we'll go into, this is just regular cruise mode. And that's flat bottom. And then speed mode is basically the same as launch mode, about 3 to 4 negative on the ailerons or flaps. Kind of hard to tell, but anyway, that's what it is. And I almost never ever use this mode. I usually, this is it. I don't hardly ever go into the more reflex on the speed mode. The launch preset will go into launch mode. Now that's launch mode. Now my launch preset is, I'm going to push the button. That puts my flaps in neutral, flat bottom, and that brings my tail up just a little bit, not much. And believe me, that little bit is huge on the flying. Now my rudder preset on launch, because of the strings, if I was using the push rods, which I do on my other planes, I wouldn't have this much offset on my rudder for the throw. But that is what I have. The other thing is for running with these planes, you know, a lot of people will tell you that, you know, I mean, I've heard several people say that when you're running back in windy conditions, you shouldn't see the bottom of your wing. Well, I kind of disagree, because if you look at the angle of your boom, it's really nose down. I mean, the plane is really nose down. So, you know, if the wind's pushing forward and the air catches at the top of the wing, and you're that much down, it's going to tend to push the plane down and back, just the same as if you slow up with the angle of the wing up. It's going to tend to push it back. So I've been practicing a lot, and my angle, I barely get to about this, and I usually don't go any more nose down than that. And you can practice it flying by you sideways, well, not sideways, but you know, like this. And so you can see what's the best angle in different winds. And then what you want to do is slowly get your plane, you know, move it this direction, and then, you know, in the end, start coming at you. But with my angle, as you can see the bottom of that wing. Not the whole bottom, but you can see it at least up to the spar. The other thing is, you see a lot of people get in lift or fly into lift, and let's say you're flying into lift and your left wing comes up like this. It's interesting because there's a lot of pilots that will make a right-hand turn instead of pushing down on the left wing where the lift is actually the most, and then make a slight turn and see how it is. If your right wing comes up, then you want to turn in. You just want to turn into the wing that goes up when you're flying through the lift. And you may find out that that may not be the best way to fly, you know, at that time, but it's the best way to start into the thermal. Let's see, the other thing is differential. I fly quite a bit different than most when it comes to setup and amount of throw. But keep in mind, I like to have a lot of throw, and I also like to, you know, I do have low rates and high rates, but anyway, this is launch mode, and that's my throw there, and I think that's in low, yeah, and there's high rate, and then back to low rate, which obviously I probably never use more than anything like this, but you know, I'm used to flying it. Now, when I get into thermal, I have a little bit of different setup than most people. I have more down aileron. I got three parts down to 1 part up, which is completely different than most. And then it minimizes the amount of rudder that I need, but I still do have rudder mix in there. And however, I can override the rudder mix. See, I got full left aileron with the rudder mix, but on my rudder stick, I can always override it. So it doesn't necessarily mean, just because you see all that in there, that I'm doing it. I still fly my rudder, but I'm not as good without the mix as I am with it. Then let's see, in cruise mode, I think these are, about 50-50. And the same with the high-speed mode, 50-50. Now, when you pull back the flaps, the tail should move slightly down. And it does. It's kind of hard to see. The plane's just the wrong color for this or what? But there's full flaps, so that's quite a bit of down. And then there's flaps up. Now I set mine up so when I come into land, the plane doesn't change the angle of attack at all when I yank on the flap. So I can just go bang and the plane will still hold the boom position it's in as it's coming to me. And that's how I set that up. And I do have that in all modes. Doesn't matter what mode. Except for obviously the launch preset, where when you yank it up, it just does what it's going to do. Anyway, that's about it for the concept, and that's the CX2. And like I say, you can fly a lot more positive flap in the thermals than I have on my preset, but I like to start with a minimum. Of course, you can put all your flap settings on sliders too, which is fine, but whatever works for the pilot. But this works for me. I don't necessarily think all pilots are going to agree with that, but it works okay for me, and maybe it'll help some people. And that's it.